everyone, and welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. Erik, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Roderick. Thank you for having me here.
Of course, of course. Now, please introduce yourself and the name of your business.
Sure. My name is Erik Heninger. I operate a law firm named Heninger Garrison Davis in Birmingham, Alabama.
Nice, nice. We so look further to learn more about what it is that you're doing. But before that, Erik, we want to learn a little bit more about your journey. Tell us a little bit about your story.
All right. Well, a little bit about me. Born in Columbus, Georgia. I was an Army child. Born to a father who was in the middle of law school. And so he was looking for a place to land and moved to Birmingham. I've been here ever since. Got a couple of brothers and sisters. Stayed in town to go to school. Went to Birmingham Southern College. Unfortunately, that school is now closed. Had some bad management. And then went to law school here at Stanford University. The law school is named Cumberland School of Law. To go back a little bit, while I was in Birmingham Southern, I know you're going to want to know how I ended up in the law. Mm-hmm. I never, ever in a million years wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't like all the reading. I didn't like standing up and talking to people. I didn't like public speaking. Seemed like a lot of work. I wanted to be a teacher, and I was aspiring to be a teacher. You know, the plaid coats and the leather elbow pads, all that kind of stuff, and smoking a pipe. Yeah, I was going to teach English.
Okay.
Did that for a little bit. I didn't actually teach. I started going through the process of learning how to do it. Maybe did some student teaching, and quickly realized this probably wasn't for me. The people, I was a young kid, and people aren't going to give me the respect. I'm trying to teach them where semicolons go and that kind of stuff, and it just wasn't very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching my dad go through the process and actually seeing the impact that he had on this community and on the people that he employed and his journey and the stories that he would come home and tell, you know, that kind of synced with my English background. Did a lot of reading, a lot of storytelling. So I thought, I'll take a peek into that, and ended up going to law school. And actually, unfortunately, or fortunately, ended up loving it. Probably the best experience I had in education.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed it for some reason. I love the people, love the problems. So got out, joined him and his practice, and ultimately now we're 25 years in my practice, and I've got my own firm. And so that's a little bit of story about me.
Okay, awesome. That's a good deal. Now, you answered one of the questions that I was going to ask as far as, did you have an influence on what made you choose your career? A lot of times I have all types of different industries on, and it's some sort of tie back in, you know, that made them go for that. It seems like you were trying to shy away, but it pulled you back into it. Now, when you were in school and you had your focus, what were you focusing on? Did you have a particular focus?
You mean, so a couple schools. You talking about college, or you talking about law school?
For law school.
You know, I didn't. Again, going back to that whole reading thing,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I didn't want to be a defense lawyer
Mm-hmm.
who had to kind of bill their time and do it in increments of 10 minutes a day. That just didn't excite me. And so, you know, having seen my dad hear those stories, and he helped guide me a little bit on the courses that I needed to take in law school, I knew I wanted to be in litigation. I knew if I was going to be a lawyer, then I wanted to deal with the people side. I didn't want to deal with the document side. So what I've learned going forward is there are so many ways that you can use a law degree. I'll tell you, unfortunately, I didn't appreciate that when I was going through school.
Mm-hmm.
I've had an opportunity to use it in a lot of different ways since then. But my focus then would have been on the litigation side. So torts, which is what I do today. Those types of things, not terribly sexy, but it lays a foundation
Mm-hmm.
for what we were going to do later on. So I don't know that any listeners would be terribly excited to talk about conflicts or constitutional law. To be honest, it was not terribly interesting to go through.
I got you. Now, your dynamic is a little bit different. When we have entrepreneurs on the show, they're ones who, like I said, went to corporate, didn't like it, started their own thing, or they have just had many different businesses and, you know, they're serial entrepreneurs. You fall into the category of what I like to call a legacy business owner. Tell us how you were able to navigate having your father essentially, I know he's your partner, but your boss, but then he's still your father. How did you handle that dynamic to separate the two?
Yeah, Roderick, it was a really unique experience still is a unique experience. And I think what's really important, if anybody's thinking about going through it, you've got to have the right perspective and attitude from both the father and the child.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Fortunately for me, he's very busy. He loves what he does. He's given me just enough leash to hang myself several times, but enough leash to where he could rescue me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so how do we do it? It was hard because he had to step back a little bit. He is what I would call a giant in this industry here in this community.
Mm-hmm.
So I was stepping in some pretty big shoes and a pretty long shadow that I was walking through. So he's very cognizant of that. He knew what was going on. So he let me try and grow outside of that. Uh, so again, just kind of pushing me in the directions that I needed to go. Not exactly what he did. He would encourage me to go maybe get involved in this business side or meet these folks that were a little bit different than what he had done. He sees or he saw what could be beneficial to me and this firm in that capacity. And then, as I got older, he would continue to take a little bit of a step back, let me continue to grow. And at this point, is the oldest lawyer in our firm. I am the youngest partner in our firm, and I have been shouldered with a lot of the management of the firm now. And it gave him an opportunity to do what he really wants to do, which is, read, study, teach,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on the things that he's really good at and he really enjoys. So to answer your question, Rod, I think that's a long answer, but it's really dependent upon the two individuals. And once you understand and can appreciate, and don't let the ego get in the way. I think that's the biggest
Mm-hmm.
thing that I see with parents and children working together. They want to kind of control each other and micromanage what they do. I've been really, really fortunate. He has not done that to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's been critical in my development.
Yeah, that's awesome there because, the name of the podcast is Burn the Ship. And for
Yeah.
you went into it. You did burn the ship as a teacher or about to be a teacher and went into the practice. But want to ask you, Eric, I'm sure there has been opportunities for you to jump out there and go and do your own thing. So my question in this instance, what kind of has kept that ship from burning and stand to where you are instead of saying, hey, look, I got this large looming, character above me. He is fully invested into this community. How do I stay? So, was there an event that happened that made you say, I'm just going to stick it out instead of going out and doing my own thing?
Yeah, and it may be unique to the legal field. I don't think it is. There are actually several examples of that, and we're actually, you know, as I'm walking into this podcast today, I'm thinking we're actually in the middle of one right now.
Okay.
Um, but we go back, 15 years, we had a type of firm that focused on some very specific types of cases, and things were changing out in the legal environment. And in order to be competitive and stay alive, we had to transition a little bit. It wasn't a huge transition. You wouldn't notice it if you weren't inside these four walls, but it was expanding what we did and offering some different services. We lost two lawyers because of that decision. And so that was a small burn the ship. We were
Mm-hmm.
committed to making this transition so we could survive, and it was the right decision then.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 years ago, uh, you will hear just about every law firm, commercial, advertisement, billboard, flyer. We take care of our clients. You have to say that. The dirty truth, though, Roderick, is in a lot of law firms, those clients are numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just trying to continue to gin the machine to get more fees and that type of stuff. 2 years ago, we made the decision that we cannot advertise. We just cannot compete with the folks who have a lot of money, whether it's private equity or anything else. So we truly had to be or deliver white glove service to our clients. That was in a law firm industry like ours really transformational to us. And so that was also a burn ship. We had to leave behind a legacy approach to how we handle business. Um, and here we are 2 years later, and I'm in the midst of another one. They seem to be coming quicker and quicker and quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find myself in, or what we find ourselves in, is, as a firm, we may have plateaued a little bit. Some of the lawyers may have reached their potential. And in order for us to go from here to here, we've got to make some significant changes. And so we went 20 years without losing a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say in the last 6 or 7 months, we've lost four.
Okay.
Some voluntarily, some not. Because we feel like in order to get us to the next level, there's going to be some different people involved. So it's a little bit of a burn the ship approach too, that we've got some good lawyers, but maybe they can't get us to where we really need to go. And That is literally what I've been dealing with this morning.
Okay.
How do we get to where we want to go? So those are three examples in a small sense of burning the ship.
Hmm.
But how have I maintained this relationships and the folks that are really critical to our existence and our ability to thrive? Again, it's being human, being humble, not letting ego get in the way. That is the biggest issue that I see in all law firms. Um, and really keeping what's important in front of you. Uh, and that's sometimes that's difficult because we get distracted with a lot of different things. But those are the things, and I've got good leaders around me. I've got a good team around me, and that's what's enabled us to continue floating and not completely burn the ship.
I understand that. I definitely appreciate you sharing some of those foundational pieces that set you apart from some of those other attorneys that are in your local area, and how you're going about taking care of the client, because the prestige of being an attorney sometimes in the past afforded you the ability to not have to do how you're doing now, because we've always seen attorneys and doctors on this high level. We are so appreciative to even be in your presence. And what I'm saying. That's why you guys are talking about what you're talking about now. And I have seen a difference in that when I'm working in that, that law space. I said, man, these people are getting nicer and nicer in comparison to the way it used to be. So I'm happy to hear about that transition and you sharing that with us. Now, in this particular section, I wanted you to share about what you guys are looking for, or who is the ideal person that should reach out to you based off of those services that you're providing. So tell us a little bit about the inner workings of your business and how you're helping the people out there.
Yeah, well, first off, I'm glad to hear you say that it's getting better out there because I agree with you. You know, lawyers and doctors and those professionals always have had a shield around them. They use their staff, and it's hard to get in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very frustrating. So I'm glad to hear that your experience is changing. Um, I'll start by saying I know people don't like lawyers. We are way down the totem pole of favorite people want to talk to. And I get that because if I'm talking to somebody, something bad's happened.
Mm-hmm.
People don't wake up and go, I just want to talk to a lawyer today. That just doesn't happen. Um, what I see in my practice, what I focus on are catastrophic injuries. Unfortunately, that involves people that have been in really serious car wrecks or get hit by a commercial vehicle. A lot of nursing home abuse cases where you have our most vulnerable people at the end of their life. They're not getting the treatment and care that they so desperately need. On the flip side of that, I'm also doing a lot of sex abuse cases that unfortunately involve children at the hands of adults that have been entrusted with their care and supervision. It could be from a church, a cheerleading coach, a ball coach, a teacher, a professional. So those types of cases as well. I focus a lot on TBIs or traumatic brain injuries. It's something I'm really interested in. And we've done a lot of good work, a lot of research, and those are things that I'm focused on. As a firm, we do a lot of medical negligence cases, people that were injured at the hands of a physician or a nurse or hospital. And we also do some of these fall down cases where somebody gets hurt because some object was in their way. I'm not crazy about those cases, but we still do them. And we have a group that does mass torts, which is, let's think if you're taking a medication and it's a lot of people across the country taking it and suffer a similar injury. Those are difficult to pursue in just one case. So it's called a mass tort. You get a bunch of people to pursue one case against one individual defendant. And we do class actions.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the types of cases that we focus on in our practice. And I think we do one of the better jobs in this state. So if anybody needs to contact me or our firm, I'd love to chat with you. If I can't help you, I'm committed to finding somebody who can. So.
Yeah, awesome. I definitely appreciate you sharing those services. As a follow-up question on that, which made me think when you said the class action. Now, is it one of those things where you are just helping people in Alabama, or are you guys licensed in other states? Tell us about your geographical area and what you're trying to focus on.
So something to keep in mind when whoever's listening is talking to a lawyer is that exact question, Roger. Where can they practice? Most folks today have a regional footprint. So I would say from the litigation standpoint, so thinking medical malpractice, car wrecks, commercial vehicle stuff, that would be Southeast United States. From the mass tort and the class action, that's a national practice because, when someone gets certified or something gets certified in one of those cases. It's one court handling all these cases. So that court may be in Los Angeles, it may be in Pensacola, Florida, or New York. And so all those attorneys' cases are in that jurisdiction. So we do nationwide on those and class actions.
Okay, that's a good deal. Definitely appreciate you sharing that classification. Now, I am confident, Erik, that over your time in school, testing the water, being a teacher, and all of these years that you have been an attorney, you have acquired and nurtured a bunch of business skills or best practices that have helped you to reach success. Do you mind sharing with the audience a couple of those business skills? Maybe they can strive toward that same success that you've reached.
Sure. This is what I tell everybody that I talk to. I was just having lunch yesterday with a young lawyer, and he was asking a similar question: how do I become successful? Not that he wants to follow me, but how do I become successful in my own skin? The things that I tell everybody are, one, you got to remain curious. If you get stuck and you don't continue to learn, you're just going to be stuck where you are. So that's one. The other thing for me and other lawyers is business. I don't care what type of business it is. Relationships are the critical piece. If you can't have relationships, you can't develop and maintain relationships, I think you're going to be a failure unless you've got some great product like Twitter or Tesla or SpaceX. So curious, relational, and from a lawyer standpoint, for me, being professionalism, being ethical is critical. I know you probably have stories, or listeners will have stories, or something that they've heard about a lawyer who has done something that's very unscrupulous. I hear them every other day, and it makes me sick because I think it just degrades our industry every single day. So those are the three things. I have my reputation. I cannot ever fix that if it goes downhill. It just takes one stupid decision. So we try very hard to maintain high ethical standards, have very little tolerance for lawyers that don't. Relationships, even with lawyers that are on the other side of my cases, if they engage in unethical conduct, okay, I'm going to still try and maintain a relationship with them because the chances are I'm going to be in another case with them next year. And so I don't want to burn those bridges. So those are the three things that I tell people all the time when I get asked that question. And I think they're critical to my success. And hopefully I'll be able to maintain my track record with those three as I get older.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, we've talked a lot about the journey. We talked about your business. You've shared with us some magnificent skills, but now I want to take a little bit of a turn and I want to talk about Erik the man. So let's just say that business has come along well. You are able to integrate all of those new practices that you want. Business is flourishing. Time and money is not an issue at all. Erik, what would you do with your time?
So what would be Valhalla to me, Roderick, is if this firm reached that pinnacle as you just described it, and I maintained a role. I didn't have to be here every day, but it ran itself, so to speak. That would be glorious. That would afford me the time to travel. I would like to travel more. I know that's everybody says that, and include me in there as well. But maybe I could blend what I wanted to do when I was 18, 19, 20 with what I've learned over the past 20, 25 years and teach at a law school. There are a lot of folks out there, some that go to these really highfalutin law firms and others, highfalutin law schools, and others that go to the lower level schools that really need a place to get mentorship, get training from people who have actually walked that walk and been in the courtroom. I'd love to be able to do that. And so teaching, and I think spending time with my family, sure, I'd love to spend more time. I've got a kid that's going off to college next year. I've got a young daughter who's about to enter high school. My time with them is fleeting. I don't know if that makes my wife excited or depressed, knowing that she's going to have me around more. But so I'd like to have an opportunity to be with them more in the moments that they are disappearing very quickly. So I hate to be a little trite, but travel, be with my family. But I would like to teach. I think I'd like to go back and do those things as long as this firm was able to operate on its own. I think I'd be an incredibly happier man than I am now. Although I am very happy right now.
Yes. I could tell that smile on your face. I could see it. Tell me a little bit about the travel portion. Did you have a destination? You said Valhalla, you want to go up there to Iceland, Greenland area with the original Vikings? Tell us about one of those places you're you're looking to go on your bucket list?
You know, my name, Eric, is spelled with a K, and that's because my parents like the Viking lore.
Okay.
It's been a curse my entire life. Is it spelled with a C? No,
Nope.
it's a K.
With a K.
Well, why? I'll tell you, it's been interesting. For a while, we would go on spring break with the kids, and we'd go to this island, or not island, this Caribbean destination, and I get so frustrated that we are traveling to a beautiful place, and my kids wanted to play in the pool. It just blew my mind. And so just last year, I threw a little tantrum with my family, and we went to Costa Rica, and I was determined that we're going to start doing things that leave memories instead of just relaxation. So we got to do some things that I'd never done before, some things that made me a little uncomfortable. I'm a heavier guy, so I did zip lining. Okay, that was fun. Probably won't do it again, but it was a great experience. So I, challenged myself a little bit, see if I can expand my experiences. We're planning a trip to Italy for my son's graduation gift. I'm really looking forward to that. I want to see if there are experiences that I can continue to grow me and what I appreciate. And what we always do, whenever you leave this country, although we have tons of issues, and I know we do, it's amazing to come back here and see what we do have. So we're very blessed, despite all the things that we're dealing with. Those are the big things. I want to expose my kids, give them an opportunity to see things that I didn't get a chance to see. And I think living life that way with experience may be a better education than you get in any four-year college. Seeing how other people live, maybe taking a little bit more appreciation than what we do have. So that's my goal. That's why I love doing it. And I'd love to continue doing it more.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Erik, if someone that is watching today has a question about you, your journey, about the practice in itself, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
There's a lot of ways. Our firm website is hgdlawfirm.com. You can go there and see my beautiful picture, along with all the other lawyers we have, and get in touch that way. I've recently expanded to social media. As a 53-year-old, that was a little challenging, so I had somebody else do it for me. So I'm on Instagram. I think I'm on YouTube. That's the way you can get in touch with me, or you can just straight up call me. Our direct dial is 205-326-3336. I'd love to chat with you and see if I can help you if you need it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for letting us know that information. And we truly do appreciate you coming on the show today, sharing with us your ups, downs, all arounds. And in this particular section, we always honor our guest by giving them the last word. So, Erik, please look into the camera and tell the people something good.
So based on what I've said earlier about relationships are so important to me in the development of this business and my career, I'm going to refer you to Maya Angelou and just remind us that people are not going to remember what you did for them. People are not going to remember what you said to them, but they're definitely going to remember the way you made them feel. And so that's been something I've tried to live my life by, try to get our lawyers to engage in that concept and make people feel seen, feel heard, and do the right thing for them. So that's the last word I want to leave with you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Roger.
Yes, sir. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.